Right here, guys. Thank you very much for coming. First things first, just wanted to mention that July's meeting was supposed to be on the 27th, which clashes with Northland's meeting. It's been suggested that we moved the meeting to the 20th of July. Does anybody have any huge objections to that?
What day is the 20th of July, please, Kira?
Thursday.
Thursday. Any chance of having it earlier in the week?
I'm generally flexible, so it just depends on what suits most people.
What suits everyone else?
I'm fine. Just means changing flights, doesn't it?
No, we're talking about the Zoom meeting.
Oh, Zoom meeting. Okay, no, all good.
Yeah. By the way, I discovered that Northland is the 26th, not the 27th, which I heard initially. So we could stay on the 27th. Sorry, Kerry, if the latest information.
No, well, should we leave it 27th then?
Yep, leave it.
Probably easier.
Yeah, it clashes with a meeting that Christchurch have every month, which probably doesn't affect most people, but I would probably go to their mix and mingle every now and then, which is on a Thursday night, the last Thursday of the month. So that's where I'm saying if we could have it on a Monday or Tuesday night in the month is less on, but what do we think about that?
I think Monday night would be good. So sorry, are you hearing me? Yeah. We're not having it every month. We're just having it maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, okay. But it's always on the same night as this Zoom call.
It would be a Thursday night, yes. Monday night's always usually a good night. Tuesday nights our committee meetings.
Quite a few associations have things on Monday night, though.
Yeah.
We do.
Are we able to put out a poll and just ask people if they have a preferred day?
Yeah, good idea.
And that way that people have got time to have a check of what happens in their calendars and just go, hey, this is what these are the days of the week that suit, and then we can see what works for the majority.
I thought that's what we did. That's how we ended up with Thursday.
I know.
I think so too, but just
I think you can do a poll on Zoom, can't you? You can do it now.
I have no idea. I can only see one person at a time because my computer's still doing an update for the last 20 minutes.
The thing is, I looked at all the meeting times, and that the last Thursday appeared to be the one that was least likely to conflict with other meetings. That's all.
So
well, if there's no conflicts for July, then we'll keep things going.
We could easily work our mix and mingles out around it because they haven't been set for the rest of the year either.
Okay, thanks, Shirley. Yeah, let's do it that way. So we'll stick with the program. Thanks, Kerry.
Okay, right. So we go in with a update from Sue.
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on in the background, and I did send the president's update, got sent out this morning. And there's been perhaps first up bit of discussion around New Zealand Property Investor magazine, and I think we did, and I did try to flag to you in April, and it was discussed with Jan and everyone. But basically, what we're trying to do is maximise our exposure. It's been the same since 2014, and our numbers are declining. So we have to look at all the avenues where we're reaching out, particularly to new members. And so I think it's time to revamp what's going on in that magazine. And one of the things we wanted to revamp was to put into a map format the meetings, and how much content around meetings we can fit in there will depend. But we're going to put as much content as is reasonable as we can. So the same, we're not changing what you're sending to Jan, but just being mindful of the fact that if the magazine reaches people even early in the month, often those meetings are just about gone by the time they have a look in the magazine, and we really want new members to be looking. So we want to be able to include more about what's happened at meetings. So we're got a concentrated effort on finding more articles and making our input into that magazine more interesting. And the other good news about that is that we had a meeting with, well, Shirley, Canterbury Property Investors were having a meeting with Rachel from Bunnings about their exposure. So I joined in on that yesterday. Rachel's our main contact that Jan works with at Bunnings. And so Bunnings are very, very keen to promote their input and their benefits to us. And Rachel was telling me things that I didn't even know. For example, if you're doing a house building project, you can get your discounts right through their trade departments. And the other thing is they actually have transportable homes. They build transportable homes, which can be good infill housing. We actually get a discount on those. I'm not sure how much. But I certainly do, the part I do know is that your discount on things like insulation can save you a huge amount of money alone. And Nigel from Canterbury, soon to be the next president there, he makes significant savings each year, which he was happy to share. So Bunnings will advertise in the magazine, I hope, and promote all of the, to our members and to other people who might be considering joining their PIA, what benefits they are. And if you're in a smaller area where there's not a Bunnings, I think there's soon going to be one in Timaru, Kerry, but I think
there is one currently open and it's awesome.
Yeah, so, but if you're not in that area, they will ship to you. So you don't have to live in a big town to get the benefits. So anyway, we really want to encourage Bunnings to promote us as much as, join us. And further to that, I also had a meeting with PPG Paints, who supply to Bunnings, who I thought were inferior paints, and they put me right on that actually they're the biggest paint company in the world. And like Resine and any other company, they have grades of paints, but the paint they want to promote is a landlord's paint that's anti-mold. And the part that really surprised me was that actually paint these days doesn't drip. They've got better technology with it, and the rollers are better. So they are proposing a system which we'll send you more information about, whereby we input to provide a colour range of 10 colours. And the guy was from PPG said, how to get your tenants to turn their house into a home where they want to stay longer is let them paint a room, and they'll provide a kit with drop cloths and things like that. So they're putting a package together for us, and to be honest, I like the sound of it, especially when I saw it's paint that doesn't drip. It's like, oh wow, I'm a terrible painter. So that was good. So there's a lot going on in that space. Moving on.
Question about Bunnings, real quick. Does your contact at Bunnings do like travel? Because we'd love to do like a Bunnings evening and have the benefits talked about and actually what we can get out of it. Because we talk about a discount at Bunnings, but I don't know what the discount is. And like I get asked what it is, and I'm like, I actually don't know. You just actually have to go. So like, how the other groups walk around and will go to each association and do a presentation. Can we organise through Summer Central a Bunnings night where we can go to Bunnings and they can actually take us through all the discounts and products?
Nikki, please get the contact from Jan and reach out to Rachel. She's very approachable. She loves travelling. That's her job. And she would love to. That's why she was meeting with Christchurch. We're happy to do investor evenings. We're happy to show you. You can use our space. Very interactive. So, and
sorry, I can add to that. We also had a meeting with them literally like 5 days ago, and within 3 days, I have an in-store event in Dunedin Bunnings in about 20 days, all organised by them.
Awesome. And they talked about that, didn't they, Shirley? They're keen and they're excited to go to.
Yeah. So I'll add to what Catherine was saying there. So she's actually taking me out for lunch next Friday. So we've got we had the meeting about 6 weeks ago. We've got our October meeting booked in, and that was within about a week that Rachel organised that. And then she just sent me an email and said, hey, I want to take you and some of the committee out for lunch next Friday. Who wants to go? So they're really pulling out all stops, I think, Bunnings to make this relationship work. And so I'll go and take some lunch on Bunnings.
fabulous, isn't it?
You take her up on that, because I arrived early and got my own food, and then Rachel did certainly provide lunch for the others, so I wasn't aware of that, and she had lunch herself. So yeah, go for it. It's a nice thing to do, and so we've got to make the most of leveraging these kind of relationships. And if they're willing and they're providing such good discounts, let's share them with people. It's a reason to join and a reason to stay a member if you know them. Because I just didn't quite even, and I've been going for years, know the extent of it. So that's her job. So that's Bunnings, and that's also New Zealand Property Investor magazine. So we're really working hard to get that magazine, getting us looking better in the magazine, and to make it. So really what we need from you is any articles or any information you want people to share about something that's gone on, or photos that have gone on in your PIA. So and Jen are the ones to contact regarding those things, and we'll get it into the magazine. So more of a two-way street there as well. Social media, we're just sort of poised to do something there and getting our act together. But we really want to be exposed on LinkedIn, everything to go through LinkedIn, Facebook. We already have a good following, but we want to maximize it a bit better than what we are now. And the Facebook and Instagram will also interact. So we'll be sharing more of your information going forward. We just haven't quite got that finalised yet, but we're nearly there. Advocacy, we're really working hard on too this year. There's a lot going on in the background. There's a meeting organised for the 19th of July with Barbara Edmonds from Labour in Parliament. She's come back. She's the Associate Minister of Housing. So while we've drawn a brick wall with Megan Woods, there's not many ministers left at Labour, I should say facetiously, but she's reached out to us. She's given us half an hour, which is kind of ridiculous, and she wants to talk about the MEF regulations and the property managers regulations. So we'll be going in with a lot more than that and seeing how much she will be prepared to listen to. And we're hoping that in your own areas you've got an MP that you've got lined up to go and visit, or someone has. And the list that we sent out is by no means of things to talk to them about. It's a wee bit of a hard one, in that we're dealing with the tax changes. And the reason why I say it's a hard one is because the tax is the thing that's hitting us all in the pocket the hardest, and is putting people off being landlords the most by a long way. And if you're an incoming government, for example, national, the easiest things to change are the ones that won't cost them anything. So my conversations with Chris Bishop, or our conversations, have all been around, can you bring it in the first 100 days? And he's not committing to that. Which I'm not very happy about, because if they let it lag, then next April comes around, we're back up to 75%. So I think that's the number one thing. Well, it is the number one thing we want to talk to any MP about. That's what's damaging the marketplace for tenants the most, and making it hard to be a landlord. And I talk about landlords, and I say further down in my information, I don't like being called a landlord. They're talking about the property owners that they actually need in their marketplace. So there is a lot to talk about with politicians, but the tax is the number one thing. So in carrying on, media, we put out a media release this week, and some media releases get a lot of uptake, and we certainly haven't had that uptake on this, although it will get repeated around the various one roofs and the housing sort of reporters. But as far as trying to explain to the marketplace why renting is getting more expensive for tenants, is around the costs that we're faced as property owners. But what I was really saying about the media is that we're really, my own personal thing is not to use the word landlord in our media releases and in our information, only because of the connotations that are attached to that, and the fact that the majority of property owners aren't actually self-managing and as such landlords. And if you get called a landlord, it tends to be, oh, the landlord this and the landlord that. And if you've got a property manager or you treat your properties with respect, you don't want to be viewed as that person. So I think rental property owner is a better way of phrasing that. So that's our take on that. Illion, yeah, there is some people starting to use the Illion website for, putting the notes to the lodgements about your good and bad tenants, and any feedback on using it. And I just noticed in the Illion newsletter that Glenn Morris had got the bottle of wine, so he's obviously using it. And I hope that other people are. I certainly will have another look at it and be reviewing my tenants at the end of this year. Unit titles are changing. We sent something out about that really affects people in body corporates. It wasn't something we saw as a big deal for most people, but some people do have body corporates and are involved in them. So we wanted to be aware of what was going on there. And a reminder about the conference. Looking forward to hearing Clayton talk to us all about that briefly. And Rent Skills Awards. We really want to see some people getting the Merit Awards for being great, people that property managers or whatever of their own properties. So let's get people involved in those. And again, we've reframed the word Landlord of the Year to being Rent Skills, because that's what it's about. It's about being a really good manager of your tenants, and so that's what will get rewarded. So that's my sort of brief for the month. But just to say, there's a huge amount that goes on in the background, and we're really here trying to make it work for you. So feeding up and down what's going on and feeding what will help you back up to us does matter.
Thank you very much, Sue. Something I'd want to ask people if they've got anything that they want to bring up, but just something I want to bring up that might be helpful is I've been having meetings with local MSD housing brokers, and they have been really putting in the effort to be supportive by I've got various tenants who have challenges, just little challenges and things like that, but they've been very supportive about putting in sustaining tenancies, encouraging people to tidy up rubbish. I've got one tenant at the moment that is behind by about $1,000 in their rent, and I've just been sending them information today. They said that they should have that sorted out by tomorrow, because the tenant was going to be getting an eviction letter, but they're keen to sort that out, and they should be covering that in total in the next couple of days. So that's like a 24-hour turnaround to get rent arrears caught back up. And yeah, spoke with a couple of South Island housing brokers through MSD, and sort of on the same page. They're well and truly prepared to work with landlords about having a good relationship and helping to, if it's a small issue, see if they can get it sorted for landlords to make that relationship better, and that's including with property managers as well. So yeah, found that particularly helpful with some of the issues. Also want to just ask some people about if they've got any feedback for what they'd like out of the magazine. But before we do that, has anybody else got anything that they want to bring up?
Are you guys going to touch on social media again, or is that what we just covered so far? Because the question that I had is, we don't have a presence on LinkedIn, do we? At a national level? Because if we do, I haven't found it. But
and we can't hear you. I know Anne's down at the bottom saying something. We can't hear you, Anne. No, not hearing a thing. I know she's saying we're setting up a page.
I've
Oh,
just
okay.
sorry, I'm back on. I've just set up the page today, so we're
Okay.
going to have LinkedIn and hopefully Instagram as well, Nikki.
Okay, because I'll set up a LinkedIn for TPIA, for example, and get that going, because I like LinkedIn because it's more professional. But in relation to the LinkedIn and Instagram, do we have Canva templates that are the Federation colouring that we can just push out to everybody so that everyone's got the same look and feel in terms of like graphics and designs? And if we put up a post, what type of post it is, if it's a, you know, because it would be great to just have that uniform Canva template that we can just all just fire and add on our little bits.
Yeah.
Make it look professional.
And it's got someone to meet on Monday who can do Canva templates.
Cool. Okay. Answers all my
Yes.
questions.
So yes. Yeah, we are onto it. So yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how we see it operating. And I mean, the whole idea with social media that we want to get more active is we realise that a lot of the PIAs don't have anybody dedicated to that or have the time to do that. So if we can be pushing stuff out that you just then repush, then it helps. And if there's some things that you've got coming up that you want, then we'll be able to also, you know, try and post those.
No, that's cool. But yeah, if you also do have the formatted template so that we can just put our particular things in it, then that would be really cool as well. Like just swap the Federation logo for our logo, for example, but just keep the colouring.
Well, that was something Sue and I talked today, and as she said, we've got everybody where I'm meeting on Monday just to try and get that stuff going.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else got anything that they would like to bring up while we've got a chance?
I would like to, if I can. Daryl from Hamilton. Yep, can you hear me? Yeah, that magazine that came out about hang on a minute.
Informed Investor.
Informed Investor, yeah. Don't quite know why we're sending that out, but the other thing is the company letter that was signed by Sue Harrison. Sorry, Sue, but the Property Investor magazine hasn't been around 25 years. It's just under 20. In fact, that this conference will be the actually celebrated month. And the other thing, Andrew King was nowhere near the Federation 25 years ago. He was, he came on about 15 years ago, 17 years ago. It's just quite wildly inaccurate. So I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, you know what happened, Daryl? I'd written that on the basis of all the information I had, because Shirley did find some early magazines, and I had asked Andrew, and yet New Zealand, the Property Investor magazine, were asking me, oh, how old is it? And is it 20 years this year? So we've actually done a full circle, and I do apologise for that letter because I was working on the information I had at the time. And I've since found out from you that that was wrong, and we're going to celebrate it at the conference for 20 years, not 25. So we're going to correct that at the conference, and I'm hoping you'll be there to do that.
Sorry, I spent a good bit of time sitting down at the rooms going through piles and piles of old magazines trying to just sort all that out. But
yeah.
No,
Lisa Dudson and I signed the contract with Tarawera Publishing. It was around about August of that year, 20 years ago. And I think the first one came out in about October.
So that makes the celebration perfect.
Yeah.
And it's good to put it right at the conference. The point of that letter was to say New Zealand, the owners of the Property Investor, were giving us as a bonus Informed Investor at the same time, which is a broader magazine than Housing. So what we need to know is, do our members love it? In which case they'll carry on. If we don't care, they won't. So if we can get a response from members by the next month, then saying, look, I haven't seen another one yet, but let's keep this going, and our members love it, and they'll, you know, stay engaged with the magazine. That's great.
Yeah. So of course they come out 4 times a year, not every month like the Property Investor magazine. And I really enjoyed looking through it. I mean, it doesn't cost me any to get it, it's freebie. So it's quite nice to have a browse through it. I quite liked it.
And the other concern we have is in the Property Investor magazine, there's talk of just putting a map in where the local associations are. I think a lot of our members actually look to see what's going on around the country.
Actually, Daryl, that's not quite right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually not correct. We're doing a review of the content and the brand, so we haven't made any decisions, and that's why that paper has gone out to try and get a feel from everyone, just how useful the magazine has been in terms of getting new members, getting people along to events. So, you know, is it achieving that? Because if you look at the content at the moment, it lists lots of things, but it doesn't actually have a call for action to join and what they could get out of joining. So we're trying to sort of bring that message in, because obviously we're trying to get new members, not just preach to the old.
Absolutely. No, thanks for that. Yeah, because one of the concerns that we had was actually by the time the magazine gets to us, the event is often past. So I think it just needs to go in a month earlier. It's just a timing thing.
That's good to hear. So I guess, yeah, is now an okay time, Kerry, for me to talk about that paper we sent with the
I was going to be bringing up some of these things. It's a perfect timing.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you carry on, because the questions are there, so I'll take notes.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the update, Anne.
So yeah, what I was going to bring up is how can we help to get the stories and information from associations of what you guys are wanting to see in the magazine? Is there a different way that can be facilitated so that we can make it relevant and get tease these stories out so they can be introduced? Has anybody got any thoughts on that? Or not?
Well, from us, we have a media person who is an ex-journalist, and they like to write articles all the time, and they make me put things on our website and things like that. And that's why you guys got it in, the magazine so quick, because we already had the information to do it. So I suppose it's just whether associations have a communications or media person that's happy to write something quickly and take photos at each meeting, or just have.
So how does that work, Nikki? How's that process work for you and then working together?
Well, Richard, who's our ex or immediate past president, he is an ex-journalist, and he obviously comes to every meeting, and he just writes notes as we're there, because he just loves doing it, and takes a couple of candid shots of the speakers and things, and then just writes a little article for me to publish. So it usually goes on our website and Facebook and things like that. And I don't know if anyone bothered to read it in this magazine, but it had a write-up on our Nicole Lewis evening, so it was really nice and short. But yeah, that's just what he does, and he obviously has a background in journalism, so it probably makes it easier. But yeah, I suppose it's just recruiting someone in your local power team and get them to do it for you. So,
which magazine, Nikki? Oh, are we there yet? Okay.
Yeah, it was the one before the recent one. It was great, thanks, Nikki, and we'd love more like that. And even if we're showing Richard's article and saying these are what's going on at your local PIAs, this is what you can expect to see.
When did July come out?
No, July's not out.
So this is the most recent one.
No, he's in the May one, isn't he?
Oh, this is June.
Oh, okay.
That's June, isn't it, Nikki? Is that the June edition? July hasn't is due out this week, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ahead of myself.
Oh, that'd be great. We read. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
About 40% of the readers are non-members, so that number is actually decreasing based on what Sharon told me. It used to be 80%, so it's quite significantly smaller. So they're part of reviewing what's in there is they've got to review who's reading the magazine and where it's reaching. So it's up to us to make our part of it matter and relevant.
I actually had someone resign from their membership, and one of the things that they said when they resigned was that they really didn't like something that was written in our magazine, and he sort of poignantly targeted the fact that it was our magazine and what our opinion was that was written in it, but it was just an article. It wasn't actually from the Federation pages in the magazine, but because he thought it was our magazine that we published, he didn't like the stance on the opinion, and he actually resigned his membership because of it.
Oh, usually they're just using that as an excuse, surely.
Potentially, but you know, it was like in his email to me telling me why he wasn't renewing. Yeah. So that's interesting.
I guess, Nikki, that's also part.
Can't hear you, Anne.
Sorry, I guess, Nikki, that's also part of reviewing it, because just, you know, historical thing, it's got our logo on the front, so people could be seeing it as our magazine. So we need to be looking at it from, you know, as we're reviewing it, just looking at it from that perspective, and that it's really clear that the content that's on the pages is our content. The whole lot's not our content.
Yeah, and I did articulate that, you know, it's independently published, but obviously, you know, TAR sticks because it's got your brand and they think it's ours.
Yeah, that's the challenge. It's good that it's advertising and it gets that reach, but also, yeah, some people are gonna get the pit with things sometimes. Now something else, just going back to some previous comments before about the map and meetings and things like that. Do you guys want, are you happy with the information as it goes out with the map, or do you want there to be more information about like the upcoming, we're talking about the meetings and you're getting the magazine and you've missed the meetings. So do you guys think that there should be like the next meeting after as well, information about that and that sort of information, or how can that suit better?
I don't see why the meeting should be passed when the magazine comes out, because we'll be gathering information for the August issue by the 6th of July. So it goes to the magazine, they print it towards the end of the month, public, and it's released in August. So all of those August meetings should be the right dates. The only
our meeting's quite early in the month, so it could be just a timing thing. We'll just have to talk to our admin person and see if we can just look at it and maybe send our stuff in, you know, for the next one, as opposed to what we do now.
I do have trouble getting information from your admin person, I have to say.
Okay.
So, Daryl, just asking, do you think it actually brings, do you get people coming along because they've seen it from the magazine and they're new and interested?
I don't know, but if we don't do it, we don't know, kind of thing, you know, because I just looked at this one that's
does anyone have any feedback?
Keep losing you, Anne.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what's happening with my Wi-Fi. I'm in a good Wi-Fi spot, but I seem to be, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I think that could be, we might have to just send ours in a month early, because ours is, you know, like it can be about, you know, the 7th or 8th of the month, and the magazine comes out, you know, you know, because it's snail mail, we get it, you know, the bloody letter takes 10 days to get to me here, and I mean, I'm in the city, so, you know, it could be just a timing thing, and we'll look at it. And I'll follow that, your comment up too, Jan.
Right, it'd be good if I get more information earlier from Jesse.
Okay, cool. I'll follow it up.
Does anyone else have any feedback on whether they are getting new members as a result of it being seen in the Property Investor magazine?
Yeah, we do. Hawke's Bay, we do, because people often send me an email saying I've seen it in the magazine. and then I just say, just come along to the first meeting. So yeah, we definitely get people from the magazine.
That's good to know. Okay.
But I think Kerry's
We
comment
get a
about,
few inquiries as well.
I think Kerry's comment about maybe doing 2 meetings out is probably not a bad idea, because it gives them an idea of what kind of speakers. I mean, we had, you know, Peter Wolfkamp, for example, at that particular meeting, and I don't think it would have got seen in the magazine. We did other advertising as well, but you know, it's whether it's relevant. I don't know.
Could
Yeah,
be
I'd
something
say-
to try see if anybody if it has any different results.
I'd say from my perspective, we're not getting new members from that. However, it's good to tell and inform our members, and then quite often they might bring a friend or they might notify someone to come along. So that helps there. I certainly like looking at other PIA's speakers and topics and what are they talking about, and then that gives me ideas to make a phone call or two to leverage off that. So I really like it because it does keep us all informed about what other PIAs are talking about.
Could that be something that went out to associations as, for example, with the newsletters that go out, just who the speakers are at different associations? Would anything like that be of any benefit to people? As just this is what's happening in other associations at the time, or are we all doing our own thing and happy with that?
I think it's a good idea, Kerry, and it'll become actually part of our social media planning in our social media program. You know, it's reaching people in what formats, but yes, we can look at doing that as well.
Cool. Now obviously we're tracking along on time. Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up while we've got the chance?
Andrew actually had some feedback from our exec from the communications meeting, because we touched on in the communications meeting what our goals were as a federation and group of associations and what we're actually trying to achieve as an organisation. And he was like, he'd really like a document on what our purpose is and, you know, why are we here and what are we actually doing in terms of, you know, as a whole. Like, does anybody have that for their own associations, like your purpose and your drive?
It should be in your constitution. It's also in the NZPOF constitution.
Yeah, but I suppose
got all the goals, got the everything, you know, why we set up the federation, what the main purpose of it was, and all of that type of thing. And then your individual association's constitution will have what your individual association is there for.
Yeah,
that's probably the best way. And then you don't have to reinvent something, because all you're doing is reinventing it, and every time someone looks at it they can see something different.
Yeah, I suppose it came from the point of like, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve with our media? What are we trying to achieve with our advocacy? And I suppose that's sort of where his question came from, because he's quite new to the association. So no, that's a good idea. We'll go back and have a look, see at the constitutions and see what they say.
Actually, Nikki, I've pulled some of that stuff, some of that out for a PR, for the PR marketing plan. So was planning on doing a one-pager, but now when I'm hearing, I can add some more to that. But it's got it's out of the Constitution, as Sharon said. So it's summarised. So I can probably save you a job by putting that through. Yeah. But maybe looking at what is the purpose of it as well, of what we're doing.
Because most big organisations have a purpose or are overarching, you know.
Well, I've just attended the first of a group of, I think 7 or 8 training sessions. It's called On Track Training. It's costing very little, and anybody from our association can go along to the a city council run, and there's the huge drive there for us to decide on a mission, on a vision, a mission, and our values. And you know, Sharon, look, I need to take another look at that constitution continually, but you know, Nikki's right. There is a huge drive out there in the marketplace for businesses to clearly know their vision, their mission, and their values. And it can take quite a bit to get those. But I would imagine that the Federation and all the local PIAs should really be singing from the same song chart. And that's something that's very, very important. Like, what is our vision? What is our mission? You know, like, I can't tell you. And that's not clear from our constitution. I know that's under review at the moment, but that's not clear to me. And I kind of think it's something that's key to, you know, there's all this talk about what are we really doing, you know, not what are we doing here, but, you know, what is our real point of difference, you know, all of that sort of aspect. And I think if we could just have those at the tip of our fingers, I think we'd be a bit clearer about the whole picture. I don't know if that's how you feel, Nikki, but.
Yeah, it is. Like, our executive has dwindled and dwindled, and we're now a very hardworking team of 6. And sometimes we sit there and ask ourselves, you know, why are we doing this? Like, yes, it's to host meetings for our members, but why are we bothering to host meetings for our members? And like, I suppose, you know, if we went into recess, would the world still continue? You know, so what impact are we actually working our butts off to achieve if you know, we don't know if it's impactful or what the purpose of being impactful is for. So yeah, that's exactly it, Shirley.
On just very quickly on the topic of constitutions, how's the NZPIF getting along with the template?
Can I come in here? Because I know Peter Lewis isn't on the meeting. CPIA over at least the last year have already been working on our constitution, which we realised was in desperate need of being updated. We also had one of our sponsors from Corcoran French, one of the lawyers, come on a voluntary basis to help with that. It's sort of a little bit on hold at the moment because the government haven't really sorted out their act completely, and or whoever's responsible for it, and actually finalising some of those things. So we've got to a certain point, but we're kind of waiting for a little bit more. I don't know, Sharon, do you have, I can't quite remember, there's a date with something else expected to come out.
September, October.
Yeah, so we're well through that process. And so I said to Peter Lewis, don't get started on it again. And we realised that all of the work and time and energy that's gone into ours could potentially then be used as a potential template for other associations to work from.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that is still on the NZPIF's radar because it hasn't been mentioned again since last year, and my association's asking.
It absolutely is, because there's several emails have gone across my table from Peter Lewis just wanting to check on that. So yeah, Canterbury's well and truly heading through that, and you know, we are well aware that the potential is to use it as a template for other associations.
That's great. Thank you, CPIA.
Thank you very much. Now, just been looking at the time, I'm thinking we're probably getting pretty close to wrapping things up, so I'm not keeping you for too long. But just before we go, is there anything else anybody wants to bring up so we can get that sorted?
Clayton, can you give us a quick update on your numbers?
Yep, can do. We're in the 160s. We're going to be launching a reduced ticket price of $5.70 without the gala dinner as well, to give people the choice. We're about probably 30 to 40 tickets off being break-even point. I've picked up PMG today as a gold sponsor, and they're also going to be speaking at the conference. And everything else is pretty much under control. We're just finalising all the finer details with timelines and all that sort of thing at the moment.
Just one thing I'll add, though, is we were talking earlier about the Property Investor magazine doing something at a conference. They aren't.
They are.
Yes. No, I've had several discussions. I've had several discussions with NZPIF, and because Ed rang me and put me onto them. They were sponsoring, then they weren't, then they were going to again, and now they're not. They're blaming it on budgets. They wanted everything. They wanted tickets to the gala dinner. They wanted several magazines in the goodie bag for nothing. So without spending any money. So they've sort of gone quiet in the last week.
We literally went from everything, saying yes to everything, and nearly invoicing them, to them going dark again. So
Yeah, I invoiced them for a trade stand, and then they decided no, and then I tried to do a deal with them to sponsor the gala dinner, because I thought it would be a great opportunity for them to sponsor the gala dinner. We could have some of their old covers of the magazines up around the walls, sort of thing, and make it like to celebrate the anniversary of it. And I've just got the cold shoulder now. It's just gone quiet.
I will follow up, Daryl, on the celebration, because they were very keen on that.
Well, we thought it would be a great opportunity, New Zealand Property Investors' birthday with the magazine. We could do a whole gala dinner hoopla about it, but
yeah, it sounds like something's going on in the background financially, and that is a worry.
Yeah. So we've certainly been trying, and I've filled out all the paperwork, got it through them, had several conversations on the phone. I think it was Joanna. Yeah. And now they've gone quiet again. Yeah.
it's very strange. The whole thing's very odd.
The joys of trying to organise things.
Yeah,
The
but
joys of
apart
trying
from
to
that,
run a big business like theirs.
yeah, but apart from that, everything else is on track for the conference.
So just another 30 or 40 tickets, and then you're good.
Then we're good.
Or even better, 30 or 40 tickets and a lot of sponsorship.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I think that brings us to a reasonable time. Don't want to keep people for too long. So unless somebody else has got something else they want to bring up, then we'll call this an end, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Really appreciate it.
It's
Okay.
great.
See you.
Very good. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.